All right. Evening, everyone. Hopefully we're live. Hopefully little Les, you can see, is up there. Where is he? Can you see? Can you see yourself, little Les? Give us a wave.
I can't see myself, but yeah,
You can't see yourself.
no.
There's a wonderful delay on this. All right. The piece of string between the US and Gosport.
Now,
Now
now I
you
can
can
see
see.
myself.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few seconds. There's a few seconds delay. All right. So we've got a few people join us this evening. Um, So first of all, welcome to everybody joining us. I'm just making sure you can see and hear us. Hopefully you all can. So the plan for this evening is, we've kind of bigged this up a little while. So the plan for this evening is to basically announce something that I've been working on uh, pretty much all year. This is something that I was going to announce back in April to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Little Les Charity Man hobby horse Royal Naval style racing, but obviously that event had to be put back from April due to COVID and lockdown and restrictions. Uh, and then I was going to make this announcement in October. I think it was a second reschedule, Little Les. But
Yep.
again, that's had to be put back, unfortunately, due to COVID. So I thought rather than wait until April of next year to make this announcement, I thought I would give you all a preview of what we've been working on. And the reason why we're doing this today is because it's Little Les's birthday. So a big happy birthday to Little Les. And I'm basically going to talk you through what we've been up to. So hopefully you can see this. Can you see the screen, Little Les?
I
Yeah,
can.
you can see the screen. All right. So as mentioned, this was supposed to be announced in time for the Royal Naval Horse Race. For those of you that don't know, I'm going to show you a little video here.
That you drop in. I'll hold
Down, there we go. There's the good chaps. So this, for those of you that don't know, this is a HMS Sultan race night. This is how Little Les makes a lot of his money for charity every year. It's a great evening, lots of drinks. There's a whole bunch of monkeys in the background. Lots of drinks to be had, lots of fun, lots of charity fundraising. The principle of this is fairly simple. Little Les dresses up in his funny little jockey outfit, so you can see my cartoons, they're actually based on real life. And there's a track, there's a giant track on the floor. You auction off hobby horses. People ride hobby horses up and down this track. You have two giant dice. There we go. They get rolled to determine which horse moves and how far they move. So this is a great night out. Little Les normally holds this twice a year at HMS Sultan. And then throughout the year at various pubs and clubs and organisations. It's a great way of raising money for charities, and it is a lot of fun. Again, unfortunately, we've not been able to do this, so we've missed out on lots of charity revenue and income. So we got to thinking, well, we can't go out and about and play this, so how can we bring the excitement of a Royal Naval horse racing evening into your home and out to other clubs and pubs, and how can you hold this yourself? So we have come up with, and drum roll if this works, we have come up with the Little Les Royal Naval Horse Racing board game. And this is, there you go, look at Little Les's reaction. So he's never seen this before. He has absolutely no idea what we've been working on. But this is the 40th anniversary Royal Naval Horse Racing, hobby horse racing board game that we've been working on. So what I'm going to show you today is some of the concepts, some of the artwork, some of the ideas behind the game, and then I'll talk a little bit about when we're planning to release this. The idea is that we're going to kickstart this, so this will be a Kickstarter campaign. You'll be able to back this. We have various pledge levels, various add-ons. What you're seeing here is a very sort of fluffy preview, if you like. I've left a lot of components out here. The reason for that is because when we get to the Kickstarter, and as we start to promote the Kickstarter campaign, a lot of these things will be extras and add-ons and various pledge levels. So we're going to sort of tease you with some of this now. The idea, ideally, I would like to launch this or make this available for the 40th anniversary race night in April of next year. That's the plan. So we're announcing this now. We've got a little bit of work to do. We need to figure out some of the logistics, some of the other bits and pieces. We're going to be sending out some draft copies of this game for people to sort of get their hands on, play with, and comment. So we've got a little bit of development to do, but I wanted to launch this today, or at least announce this today, for little Les's birthday, and start to chip away on some of the to-dos to get ready for releasing in time for the April event, so that you can all buy at the race night. With the intention being that all proceeds from the profits of the sale of the game will go towards Little Les's charities, and hopefully make up for some of the lost revenue for this year. So there you go, Little Les. Happy birthday. This is your very own little board game. What do you think?
Very good. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Good concept, good idea, and as you say, all for a good cause. This year has been a disaster for everyone, especially fundraising and charity-wise. So everyone has suffered in one way or another. And as I say, it's a great social evening. So apart from the fundraising side, as with anything, everyone's dipping out.
All right, so that's the basics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip through and just show you a few interesting elements of the game, right? Because with a Sultan race night or a Little Les race night, there's only so much that you can do with the board and the game on the floor. In the past, we tried to introduce things like jumps, but you get you have a few beers inside of you, and people start tripping over fences, and then the night drags on. It gets all crazy. So with a board game, we can do a lot more. So I wanted to introduce additional game dynamics and elements. The basics of the game are still the same as a Sultan race night, right? So you have 6 horses, you have 2 dice, you roll the dice to decide which color horse moves, and then a normal dice to decide how far they move, right? So the basics of the game are the same, and that's how you can play it if you really want to. Everything else that we're throwing in on top, they're all extra bits, right? So they make the game more interesting. So first thing I'm going to cover is some of the artwork. So the idea, just with like the little leses that you see in the corner of the screen, there will be 6 jockeys and 6 hobby horses. And before the start of each game, there is an auction. So you can buy a horse, and that's how you enter the game, right? So you all 6 horses are auctioned off, and it's sort of like Monopoly. You have like Monopoly style money. We'll get to that in a bit. Everybody gets a set amount of money. You buy your horse, enter the race. These are the 6 horses that I've sort of drafted. The reason why all of the horses and jockeys you'll see in a minute are in draft outline form is because one of the pledge levels we want to put into Kickstarter is that you will be able to design and create your own horse and your own character, so you can actually be in the game. And that's something we'll get to. We'll provide more details on how you do that closer to the Kickstarter. So the horses I fleshed out a little bit more. And the reason why we have different views is because these will actually be game pieces. So you'll physically have a game piece, a hobby horse, and a game piece of a jockey, so you can mix and match your jockey and your horses. Moving on to the jockeys, again, the reason why these are in red pencil, these are outlined, these are just drafts, is because you will be able to, as part of your pledge, become one of these jockeys. Right? So if you want to pledge a certain amount, we will create a 3D cartoon image and model of you and put you actually in the game so you'll be able to play it. So these are all draft at the moment, and again, closer to the Kickstarter launch, we'll give you more details on how to actually do that. And let me just check we're still streaming. Yes, we are. So you'll notice there are 5 jockeys on this page. The reason why there's 5 is because the 6th will be Little Les. So Little Les will be the default character. Yeah, I knew you'd like that. So Little Les will be your default character, as you see. So what we've actually done is we've to sort of proof of concept this, we've taken the Little Les character and we've made a 3D model out of Little Les. It took a lot of plastic to make this because he's got a lot of chins and a lot of bellies. So it's cost a lot.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, don't worry. So we wanted to give you an idea of what the characters and the play pieces would actually look like. So if there we go. So this is our test piece of a Little Les 3D model. Now his arms are out up in the air because again this is a prototype. But as you can, this is what an actual game piece will look like. So you can see you've got the hobby horse, you've got the Little Les character, and for each game or for each race, each round, depending on how you play it, you'll be able to buy your horse and combine them with the jockey. So these will be the actual game pieces. We'll probably do them in one color, but all of these game pieces you can paint yourself. So you could paint your own colorful Little Les shirt, like in a checkered pattern, or you could do whatever. We'll provide painting guides and all sorts of fun stuff, but you will get these little game pieces to be able to play the game yourself. And again, a certain Kickstarter pledge level, we will make a 3D model of you in cartoon form like this that you will be able to use on the racetrack. So there you go, Little Les. What do you think of your little model?
Very good, thank you.
Yep. Well, a big thanks to, I don't know whether he's watching, but Andy over at Meeple Forge. Big thanks to him. He's been doing most of, not all, because I like to do this, so I like to do a little bit of it. But Andy's been doing most of the character 3D modeling and design based on some of the 2D drawings that I've been doing. So huge thank you to Andy over at Meeple Forge.
Thanks, Andy at Meeple Forge. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and of course, Little Les, you know Andy because he plays on the Quarantine Quiz every week. So you can't have a game without a board. So I'm going to show you what the board game pieces look like. So there you go. The idea is, again, different to when you hold it in a club or a pub. We can do lots more with a board game. So here we have different types of pieces of track. So all of the pieces of track are going to come, they're about 6 inches square. And we have straight pieces, curved pieces, we have a start line, a finish line, and this is the basic track. So some of the Kickstarter stretch goals will be additional types of track. On the reverse side of this track, we're going to have an all-weather track. So very similar, slightly different rules, but very similar, so it'll be reversible. There's also going to be, one of the stretch goals will be a naval version, because that's where this sort of originated from, was playing on board decks of ships. So one of the stretch goals will be a naval version, which will be on one side a ship of the line, from the 1700s, and that ship will actually be HMS Racehorse, which was a real ship. There really was a ship called HMS Racehorse. It was first laid first in 1757, I think, and there's been 4 or 5 different versions, but you know, HMS Racehorse seemed quite applicable. So there's going to be a ship of the line track, and then on the other side there'll be a modern warship, yet to be decided. And again, this is where we'll sort of look to the community to decide which ship we want to represent. But that's where, you know, you guys, and when I say you guys, I'm talking to the community and everybody out there, that's where you'll be able to comment and feedback, and certain Kickstarter pledge levels, you'll be able to decide what tracks we include. So there's lots of things that we could do here, lots of different tracks and design styles. What does that look like laid out? Well, here's a very quick track that I put together. In this case, there is no finish line, it's just a loop. And the great thing about this is you can decide how long you want the game to be, how many times around the track you want to go, whether you just have, you know, 2 pieces of track, then you just go, you know, between them all, round loops. There's all sorts of different layouts you can have. And again, we'll provide more. We'll have like standard tracks as part of the game, but you can also make your own up, right? So it's up to you. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things on the track. I'm going to go through a few of what we see. So again, we can do more with a board game than we can in the actual evening. So, first thing we need is jumps, right? Every race course has jumps and fences. So the fences, all of these parts will be the side pieces holding the fences up are all plastic parts. The actual fences themselves are all 5mm foam core, so I have one around here somewhere. So they're kind of chunky, right? They're kind of cool. And that's what they look like on the actual board game. I'm going to wait for little Les to catch up so we can actually see the fences. Yeah, you can see them? Alright.
Yeah.
Keep giving me the thumbs up. So this is what the fences look like when you lay them out on the track. We have different types of fences, and depending on the rules of the game, there are different ways in which you have to get over the fences and get over different types of fences. So we do have different types. For example, this is what we've come up with so far. You have your basic hedge, your broken hedge, your white fence, and your brick wall, right? The theory being that a brick wall is harder to get over than a hedge. But there's downsides, you know, you can kind of go through a hedge, but then it can also trip you up more. So that's where we have slightly more complex rules that extend the gameplay if that's the way you want to play it, right? So we've kind of been up to all sorts of fun stuff with those. The sides of the fence as they're held up, these are all prototype pieces at the moment. So they're produced in-house, but we're talking to a gaming company who's going to produce all of this for us. They all have the little Les Racing logo on the side, and same with all the other little bits and pieces. So other things that we can do are jumps. You can't have a fence without a jump, and a jump looks like when it wakes up. Here we go. So for example, you will find on a lot of race courses fences that have water jumps or sand jumps or sand traps. And again, this is the prototype track that I have out now on perma display in my living room. And again, how you interact with jumps depends on the rules that you play. So if you get stuck in a water jump, for example, you may have to roll a 6 to get out and jump over the fence. If it's on its own, if it's a sand trap, you may get bogged down, so it slows you down. Depends on the kind of jump you hit and your handicaps. as to how your character or your play piece will react to them. So some of the types of jumps that we've got, and again we can have some fun with this, right? So you can play this as a straight sort of ordinary racing game, or you can kind of get a bit silly, and being Little Les, we put in lots of very, very silly rules. So we have a water jump and a sand trap, but we also have the pond jump, where you may get your feet stuck in with the koi. They're actually koi carp. Or we have the ball pit, right? So you get stuck in the ball pit, and then there's all sorts of fun rules around that.
So does that mean, Mark, that a water jump, they might have to take a sip of ale or a tot?
We could one thing I haven't mentioned, because this is a family show, of course.
Yeah.
But yes, it would be remarkably easy to turn this into a drinking game. Yes. So same as HMS Sultan Race Nights, when you used to do the jumps. Yes, if you land in a water jump or on a water jump, you may have to have a forfeit of doing a shot or drinking a pint or eating a cracker or something like that. So yeah, you can play this game remotely. It's aimed at all ages, I should mention that, right? So it's a family game aimed at all ages, but you can quickly turn it into an adult drinking game, yes. Very, very easy. But this is a good example of where we can have a bit of fun with the jumps, right? So that gives you an idea of that. Other things that we can add onto the track are things like divots and obstacles. So, and again, we can have a bit of fun. So we have a grass divot, sand divot. When you hit those, you have to do various forfeits. You may have to move back a space. We've got various rules around that. And then we have funny things like bear traps. So you land in a bear trap, you lose a leg, and you're going to be hopping along for a while, right? So we can have some fun with that. Couple more elements of the game. I'm conscious of time. I'm trying to rattle through this. Couple more elements of the game. You can't have racing without handicaps. So we've introduced some funny handicaps. For example, there's three types of handicap. You have a movement handicap, which affects how your horse moves. You have a dice handicap, which affects the count or movement on the dice. And then you have fences and jumps, right? So that handicap will determine how you and your horse reacts when you reach fences and jumps. So for example, wonky donkey, if you roll a 5 or a 6, you must move diagonally during your move. Too much cake basically means you ate too much cake, and you have to move back a space at the end of your turn. I've included a few of the other. There's actually 30 different handicap cards, and they all affect either your movement, the dice roll, or how you react to the things on the track. Right?
Yeah.
You got that, Little Les? Yeah, give me a thumbs up.
Got
yeah.
it.
All right. One big part of this is money, right? So in order to buy your horse at an auction, and in order to bet on the racing, because there will be betting, just as there is in the real life version, you need money. So we have got a whole bunch of Little Les Bank of Britain money. We've got the 10, 20s, 50s, and 100s. And this, a board game's not real unless you have fake money. So we've got plenty of fake money. Again, just like Monopoly, you'll start off with, say, £1,500, and then it's up to you how much you want to spend on buying a horse or gambling on the race. You don't have to take part in racing. You could just gamble or bet on the racing itself, right? So I say that this game is for at least 2 players, and it goes up to infinity, because you can have at least 2 people racing on the track, and then everybody else could just bet on the racing, right? So this is great for groups or again, larger organizations. you could do this virtually, so I could be playing this right now, and I could have 100 people online, all sort of betting and buying horses, right? So that it's the number of players on this is to infinity, is what I say. And last but not least, one more aspect of the game that we can introduce is spectators. So if you've ever been to a real life racecourse, Goodwood, Fontwell, all those fun ones, Ascot, you name it, you always have an area in the middle of the track where people can go and hang out. Well, in order to get to the area in the middle of the track, you have to walk across the track. And if you see, I'll show you again in a minute, there are areas on this race track where you can walk across it. And there we go. So there are areas on the track where you can walk across the track, and there's always a few dodgy looking people in the crowd watching. So I wanted to introduce that element. So these are our prototype tokens for the spectators, and again there are slightly different rules. Can you see the spectators, little Les?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Right. So we'll have different rules around how you interact and engage with spectators, but the idea is at certain points of the game, people will start to walk across the track, and you have to avoid them or bump into them. And when you bump into them, you can knock them over, they can knock you over, they can knock you back, they can push you forward. The artwork that you're seeing here is to give you an idea of what they would look like. But you've got the crazy lady, the drunken guy, the drunken girl, the fat slob. There's a whole bunch. This is another area of the Kickstarter campaign where you will be able to get yourself in the game. So if you pledge at a certain level, we will draw a picture of you as a quirky little cartoon character who will then be able to walk across the track and cause all sorts of mayhem in the game. All right, so that's the nice thing about this is there's no limits on the number of people that we can introduce. So again, it's 2 to infinity players, right? There's all sorts of fun stuff that
you could actually have families then, Mark.
You could, yep. We'll have we could have a family pledge level or we could have a group or an organization pledge level where you get your entire, pub locals in, or you get your entire, regiment in. There's all sorts of things that we could do here, right? I'm in this whole presentation, I'm just pulling out sort of the major differences or the key things that we're pulling in. There's a lot more behind this game that I'm not showing you because I'm conscious of time and I want to do this as quickly as possible without boring everyone. But also we want to save some things for the Kickstarter. For example, I'm not showing you the dice, right? So we've designed some custom dice, and the very good people over at Ogopogo Dice, based in Philadelphia, are going to be helping us with that. So we've got Andy working on the 3D models over at Meeple Forge. We've got Ogopogo designing custom chunky dice for us. We've got another games company we're working with on the actual production of this. So it's all kind of coming together, but I don't want to release everything now. I just kind of wanted to tease what we've been working on and what we've got so far, to hopefully get everybody excited about it so that you can all turn up in April, hopefully, at the HMS Sultan event, and you will be able to buy this so you'll be able to take part in the racing and then actually go home, wake up so excited about the night before and play this yourself. So on that note, that concludes my presentation stroke launch announcement stroke happy birthday, little Les. Like I said, the plan is to get this into everybody's hands, or at least have the Kickstarter finished or synced in time for the April event. We've got some work to do on dates and deliveries. Obviously, we've got Christmas coming up, so we need to figure out a few logistics and bits and pieces. But that is the basics of the game. So what do you think, little Les?
Yeah, very good idea. Like the concept, and like the variations. Like specifically like the spectator idea. That's good. A different aspect to the actual live game itself. And again, the idea that you can get real people, real characters, caricatures, jockeys. So yeah, very good. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome. Happy birthday. Well, yeah, like I said, I really wanted to get this out this year, back in April, but unfortunately, we are where we are. So this is everything that we've been working on. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're watching this recorded, then please, feel free. If you're watching this live, I'm juggling multiple screens, but if you've seen this, I would really like to know what everybody thinks. Please comment on the videos, send me a note, drop me a line, DM, PM, email. I am going to be working on some prototype copies of this to get into people's hands, right? I want people to play this, right? Because it's all very well for me to sort of tinker and play around this end, but it's not until we get this into people's hands, they start playing around, tell us what you think. So I'm probably going to put together a dozen test copies of this game to get out to people. There's a few more bits and pieces that we need to sort out before we do that, but I'm kind of hoping the next couple of weeks we'll have some details on how you'll be able to sign up for an early version of this. We'll send that out to you for free. The only thing I ask is that you do give us feedback, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to make this as fun as possible. We want to make it as playable as possible for all ages. So it's a fun family game, but at the same time it can be, like I said, an adult drinking game if you really want to do that. And I think that's about it. And that's probably the most fun PowerPoint presentation I've ever put together. So on that note, because I'm conscious of time, thanks very much everybody for joining in, and I'm going to go and debrief little Les now and fill him in on all the details. So thanks very much, and I guess watch the little Les page for more information, and the Little Blokes page will be once the ball gets rolling on this. This will be everywhere, right? So you won't be able to miss it, and we're going to give you more details on how you can actually get yourself in the game, either as a spectator or as a player piece. We'll give you more information on that as well.
And I'm certain he'll outsell Monopoly.
And I think we could outsell Monopoly as well, yes. Alright, so on that note, thanks very much everybody, and any last words, little Les?
Just to say thank you to literally the hundreds of plus messages I've received for have a happy birthday today, and this takes me out on a high, so thanks a lot.
All right, thanks very much all, and see you later.
Take care. Be safe.